The many origins of Bat-Mite. Let me explain. Bat-Mite is a character that you may know of in passing from his various roles in TV or comics, but you might not know how weird the character actually is. First appearing in Detective Comics issue 267 in 1959, Bat-Mite was a fifth-dimensional imp who was a Batman superfan. He has pretty much near-infinite abilities which allow him to cause trouble so that way he could watch his hero in action. While never truly a villain, the character was a nuisance and caused quite a few problems for the Caped Crusader. This is the Bat-Mite most people are familiar with, but as comics became more and more serious, Bat-Mite struggled to find a place in the medium. The first big example of this was in Legend of the Dark Knight issue 38, when a convicted murderer in Arkham Asylum named Bob Overdog claimed that Bat-Mite was actually the person who murdered Bob's victims, not Bob himself. This was not true and was instead brought on by drug-induced rambling, but Bob would later hallucinate a version of Nightfall where he was Azrael and Bat-Mite was Batman. This book was cleverly called Mitefall. This hallucination was a bit more credible as the ending of this adventure featured Bob taking a drug from the fifth dimension that messed him up in a way that I do not think I can show. However, it is possible that he died through a rational and grounded mean, so we don't actually know if his stories are true or not. While Bob's reality is questionable, this did inspire another fifth dimensional imp named Mixie's Pitalik, or Mr. Mixelplix, to make a wager with Bat-Mite. The wager was whether Superman or Batman was better, and then chaos ensues. Another entry into the more serious Bat-Mite comes with the Zur-N-R storyline in Batman Rip. In this book, Batman essentially goes crazy as a failsafe and is a much more brutal and weird Batman, with Bat-Mite ironically acting as a representation of Batman's more sane personality. That then takes us to the modern version of Bat-Mite, who, like the original, was a fifth-dimensional imp with infinite power and a love for Batman. But now they gave him a more substantial backstory involving the death of his parents and the fact he was banished from the fifth dimension for interfering with the DC universe too much. He would also fight crime and stuff, but that doesn't really matter because if Bat-Mite does show up in the modern day, it's typically the original version we all know and love without all of the weird background stuff the new version gave him.